Okay, so I think I might need to stop talking now and make room for our first expert. Our first speaker is Tony Sandberg, VP Pilot Partner at Scania. And he's joining us from Sweden, from just outside of Stockholm. And Tony will talk about how Scania is shaping its road to electric mobility, why electric trucks work, and where the company will source its battery cells from now that Northvolt has gone belly up. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Tony, since you're joining us from just outside of Stockholm, if someone were visiting your area for the first time, what's the one place they should really see and not miss?
Well, if you come to Stockholm, you should see the Vasa Museum, the old maritime ship from the, I think, 1400s that was sank during her maiden voyage outside Stockholm.
All right. Tony Sandberg, VP Pilot Partner at Scania, own today and shape tomorrow, the road to electric mobility. The stage is yours.
Thank you. So, being part of Scania and the division for eMobility, I have the role to lead the function that we call Pilot Partner, where we explore the front end of the shift, trying to accelerate and see what's possible to do in the future. But today I'll take a step back and talk about the big picture. On this picture here, you see the first electric timber truck with electric crane, 64 tons of vehicle, fully electric crane, everything, running in the north of Sweden right now. But first, focusing on why do we have transport. So basically everything that we as humans consume today needs to be transport, and many times several occasions as well. And with the growing population, we see that the need of transport is increasing over time. At the same time, as Julian was into, we see that 25% of the global emissions come from transport. And in Europe, 21% of the emissions come from road transport. And out of those, 5% or a quarter of those, 5% in total, comes from transport with heavy vehicles. So that's basically the home turf for Scania. So we know that we're part of the problem, but we also will be part of the solution. We don't think it will be the right solution to stop doing transports. So we need to find a way to do them sustainable, both from an economical point of view, but also from a social point of view, and of course, for the climate and the environment. And talking about electrification, we're also convinced that it will make more and more sense over time. The benefits of going with electric transport will increase. We will see we'll have climate policies coming into play. Here we have incentives, we have zero emission zones, we have taxations that will enforce the case for e-mobility. We also see economy of scale as we and others scale up investments and volumes of components. The cost of each component will go down. And we see a number of new innovations when new stakeholders try out new softwares, new tools, new ways to do transport planning, energy management, charging management, etc., that will reduce the cost and find new synergies for the industry. And on top of that, we see that the opposite things will happen for the traditional industry. We will have loss of volumes in the combustion engine industry for the diesel fuel, and there will be more and more taxation on those areas. And then, of course, at some point of time, we will reach TCO parity. For some areas, we already have it. In some other areas, it will take longer time. So the picture you see here in the bottom, that's just schematic. The solution and the point of time will vary. But over time, it will converge to electric transport. For Scania, this means a big change. We have been a truck producer. With this change, we see that we need now to put the customer in the center like we always had. But now the offer from Scania needs to be broader. It will not just be enough to just have a modelized truck to offer. We need to help the customers finding softwares with charging and all the other problems, new things that will arise with the shift to e-mobility. So here we are moving from truck sales to solutions, helping the customers as well. What we do have in pipeline for the trucks and the product, well, we're starting off in the light, small areas in Scania terms, vehicles for the urban applications without trailers, with a total weight of 16 tons and above. Here we have had electrified offerings on the market since 2021. In 2024, we introduced the regional distribution or regional haulage, where we can go up to 60 tons, fully electric, but shorter distances. And we will, over time, introduce more and more applications, more and more demanding applications from the vehicle point of view. And at the end, we will have public and special and heavy vehicles and heavy confined areas where we see it's difficult to electrify today. So there is a plan, and we will execute the plan over time. But first, the central component of this is, of course, the batteries. What we do with the batteries, to clarify this, we purchase the cells for the batteries. That's the small part of the battery that we purchased from Northvolt until just recently. And then we bundle many of those into what we call modules, and then we bundle modules into what we call packs. So a typical Scania truck has 3.6 tons of batteries bundled into 6 packs on the truck. And we learned over time that how we bundle these cells into modules is very much influencing the life length and the performance of the batteries. Hence, we are doing that ourselves in our own design and our own factories. And the same things applies for the packs. Scania is also designing and doing the production of the packs ourselves. And on top of that, we know that having control of the environment of the battery cells is also crucial to performance and life length. And hence, we have the in-house developed battery monitoring system. So we do the software and control algorithms to ensure that the batteries are safe and happy all over the life cycle, in cold climates, in hot climates, during charging, etc. So that's part of the ingredients here. And just Julian was into, we did the big bet on having Northvolt, a big startup, as our supplier. The background was that we want to have a green cell produced with green electricity and, of course, produced in Europe. That was part of that investment. Things didn't turn out as we hoped. They went for bankruptcy this summer. And we have now contracted another supplier, and that will start production now in December. And over time, we will, of course, introduce more suppliers when the volumes grow. Also important for eMobility is charging. Here we have today the CCS2 standard in place, meaning that we can charge with 500 amps or 375 kilowatt hours. Basically meaning for the operator it takes about 85 minutes to charge for a full battery. Later this year, I actually have introduced and revealed to the public, we will switch to MCS charging, meaning that we will have 750 kilowatts of power and 1000 amps of DC charging. And that brings us to the goal to be able to fully charge the vehicle during the 45 minutes lunch break that is mandatory for all truck drivers. And by that, we will enable more applications and longer routes. But of course, we need to build that infrastructure to make that happen. But we will be ready. Zooming out on charging then, we have set the principles, and I think it makes sense for everybody. Everybody wants to charge where it's cheapest, as much as possible. And for most transports, it will mean that they need to charge at their depot, where the truck stay and sleep overnight. There they can charge with low power and longer times. And that will be the cheapest way for an operator to charge the vehicle. And the second principle is to charge when we have natural downtime. And that could be when you are loading or unloading, or during your 45 minutes lunch break. And as you can see, the variation of the share of these parts will be different for different applications. Urban applications can mostly rely on depot charging. Regional applications, they need some destination charging where they unload, or also some public charging on the highways. And for long haulage, the public charging will be a bigger role than the others. So to assist customers here, Scania can offer help with depot charging. Here we can do the analysis for the customer to really understand what the need is. How many tracks should you charge? How much time do you have to do that? And what kind of equipment do you need? We can also help with the deployment and basically digging and contracting cables in the ground. And we can help you with operations, setting everything up together and the installment and the software that you need to control these things. And of course, we can offer financial services to this as well. So there's a complete offering here for Scania ready for waiting for customers. On top of that, Scania is engaged in public charging for the highway network. Here we know from the EU regulation AFIR that it's a requirement on the member states to build 10,000 charging points by 2030. And Scania, or preferably Traton, is engaged together with Volvo and Daimler in the joint venture called Milans, with the goal to build 1,700 high-power charging points by 2027. So we will together build around 15 to 20% of the total need to get the market started with our European friends and competitors. And then to utilize this public charging network, we need to support the customers. So Scania has created Scania Charging Access. That is a smart RFID card that's connected to most of the public charging network. And here we select those charging stations that are truck ready, so they can easily enter with your big truck. You don't need to hassle on a small passenger car proving ground. And we are negotiating good prices for all our clients. So typically today on the public network, you pay around 70 cents, euro cents per kilowatt hour. We have contracted prices for 40 euro cents per kilowatt hour with selected partners. So here we can make a big contribution and help our customers out. And of course, as we grow this, we will get better bargain power also with the partner suppliers here. So finalizing with some great use cases and examples. What you see now is the world first electric wood chip truck, currently running in Karlstad in Sweden. It has a total weight of 94 tons. Imagine that, 94 tons, fully electric, and has a high capacity transport concept that we have in Sweden. So it's also 34 meters long. It's twice the length of European vehicles, and the weight is massive as well. But it is actually possible to run this fully electric. And it only runs short roads. They are between 50 to 100 kilometers one direction and then back. But it does several turns every day. So it's also possible to electrify the really heavy applications already today. So if I'm to end off with some of the success factors from this case and other cases that we have seen crucial to be successful in electrification, it is to have a stable relation with your shipper. There needs to be a pull for sustainability from their side. It needs to have some reoccurring routes, just like the vehicle I showed you just recently, going back and forth, rowing inside a dedicated area. And you need long contracts, a stable relation, creating safety for the investment that you need to do. Other big advice that they have done in Karlstad, that in the example that I talked about, take control of charging. Get access to electric power, charge when you're loading and unloading, and build your own semi-public charging network. The case that I'm presenting now, they have built their own charging company in that part of Sweden, where they put up charging stations where they need to. And they use them for their own trucks, but then they also open up for other customers to come and charge at their facilities. And that's what we call semi-public. It's open for others in the public as well. And then, of course, you also need a suitable vehicle, a vehicle that has a range and the payload capacity and, of course, the uptime that you can rely on doing your transports. And at least I know one good company that does that kind of products that you can contact. By that, I will end my presentation.
Okay, thank you so much, Tony. Tony, you mentioned you are moving from sales to solutions. So you're not just selling the truck, but now you're also providing, your expertise when it comes to charging solutions.
I'm not sure if there's any questions now, Tom.
Okay, I think Tony can't hear me. Tony, can you hear me? Possibly. So Tony, I do have a question. I hope you can hear me now. I do have a question. So you mentioned you are moving from truck sales to selling solutions. So not just selling the truck, but you are selling the charging ecosystem. You're, giving expertise how and where to charge. Do you think that is something that you will do in the long run, or is it just for now, just while during the transition?
Probably it's just during the transition, but who knows? Time will tell. We see that there is a need right now, but it's not the core business of Scania to turn money on the charger itself. But this whole transformation also means that Scania need to find new roles, and so does many other stakeholders in the ecosystem. So time will tell.
Time will tell. Okay. And so when you look at depot, destination, and public charging, they all play different roles. But where do you see maybe the biggest challenges and maybe also the biggest opportunities for fleet operators?
Well, they are different. The depots, as I say, the majority of charging will be there. They should be rather easy, at least to start with, because most of the time there are grid capacity available. We see challenges for the destinations. Most of the warehouses are in old urban areas where they don't have grid capacity. Of course, they are building out new facilities outside the city, then there are new possibilities, but there are challenges there. And public charging is very challenging, especially in Europe, but also in Sweden. It's hard to find that kind of power at the truck stops. And also lack of space, especially in Central Europe around the truck stops. They are full already. And if we then need to dig in the ground and install chargers on that space, it will remove capacity for the trucks. So here we see a huge challenge as well.
Okay, you mentioned some partnerships already on your presentation, such as Milence for the public truck charging network. But what kind of other partnerships does Scania consider essential to really accelerate charging infrastructure and therefore also support electrification of heavy-duty transport?
So what we see is that we need to create, we are in an ecosystem today where everybody has found their roles and optimized them over decades or even longer. We are now entering a new ecosystem where the transport logistics ecosystem will merge with the electrified energy system. So Scania needs to help all these players to meet each other because the truck will be the meeting point. So we are working with both transport buyers, logistic companies, energy providers, grid providers, charging providers, to find use cases and places where it makes sense, where everybody could make a good profit and learn from that business.
At the very beginning of your presentation, you kind of showed how the TCO will develop. What about hybrid drives or range extenders for trucks? I mean, Scania does offer hybrid and plug-in hybrid drives, but is that really necessary, or is that also really just for, let's say, customers with range anxiety until all the charging network stands?
Yes, I think we will have many years where you need to have multiple solutions. There is not one solution that will solve everything immediately. Then, of course, it depends how much hurry do we have. We from Scania see that, we are not following the Paris Agreement. We are losing the objective right now. We are lagging on the CO2 reductions for the world. we have the products ready, but if there is no demand for them or the right enabling conditions are not in place, then we need to find the second best solution, the second best compromise. So that might be hybrids, it might be range extenders, it might be hydrogen, it might be LNG or something else that we also need to add to this portfolio.
But what is the reason why customers say, okay, we can't electrify? Is it just the cost, or is it really to do with, well, we don't know how to operate it in our daily operations or to integrate it into our daily operations?
I would say the big thing is the cost, and that connects also to the transport buyer, as I mentioned. If there's a premium in for fossil-free transport, then the transport buyer should pay more for it as well. So that is lacking, the incentives on that side. And the other side that's lacking is the possibility to do the charging, to use the truck. So there's a financial hurdle and an operational hurdle that we need to overcome.
Okay, and looking into your crystal ball, what year will it be when we've overcome those hurdles?
Well, as I shown in the presentation, they have already come in certain small places. The wood chip truck that I show you is already right now doing that. It's already beneficial from a TCO parity perspective. Other applications will take longer time, so it will vary. And the conditions in all member states in Europe are different regarding the grid, etc. So we'll see. It depends.
Okay, it depends. So no year that I can, say, okay, but Tony said it would be 2030. Okay,
No.
fine.
Yeah.
But one thing, and maybe I missed it in your presentation, because I said in my introduction to you that you're going to say who will take the place of Northvolt in providing battery cells. I heard you going to move to multiple suppliers, but are you willing to give names and who is going to provide the cells for Scania for now?
No, we normally don't give names of our suppliers. So we're offering a product to the market that the market can feel trust in, and that we have done our homework. So we will have a supplier with a similar capacity and performance of the Northvolt cells.
All right, so I made an empty promise. I'm very sorry. Thank you,
No.
Tony. We will see each other a little bit later in the discussion round, and then I'm sure I have some more questions for you, and I'm sure there will be some from the audience as well. Thank you,
Great.
Tony. Thank you for now.